Hello and welcome to this EIFL's webinar about training students and researchers on preprints. And this webinar is one of the webinars in a series of webinars supporting EIFL digital research literacy training program outline for librarians. And we're very grateful to our colleagues from Serbia who are helping us with this webinar. So probably if you attended previous ones, you've heard Milica and Obrat. And Anna is also a champion of open access and open science in Serbia. She's one of trainers doing work in her institution and also nationally. And as always, let's use Q&A for questions, chat for comments. Thanks a lot for joining us, and over to you, Anna.
Thank you, Irina, for introducing me. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here today. And just a second to share. You can tell me if it's something wrong, but I think that you can see my slides.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I will present a short introduction to preprints. Then I will talk about some reasons for and against preprints and how sharing preprints can benefit career progression. I will show you where you can share your early findings depending of the field of study, discuss briefly preprints servers and their role in the time of COVID-19. Today, I will share my experience also, as well as the experiences of researchers from Serbia, how I do trainings for researchers and librarians about this new topic, how to organize training agenda, what to emphasize, what could be practical exercise, how to facilitate, etc. To understand what preprints are, I put this picture here. It is just to switch. It is a typical publishing workflow for an academic journal article. As you can see here, we have preprint, submitted version, postprint, author accepted manuscript, and the published version with open access rights as described in Sherpa Romeo. In this workflow, we have three versions of the manuscript. Published version of the version of a record can usually only be shared if published in a gold open access or hybrid journal. If not, authors can share their work using the green open access route by depositing the manuscript in a repository after it has been accepted by the journal, and sometimes after an embargo period. We all know that peer review ensures scientific quality, but it takes time. First, scientists write a manuscript and submit it to a journal for review. If editors find it interesting, they send it to a group of scientists for their opinion of the quality of the work. The journal receives feedback from the reviewers, who usually remain anonymous to the authors, and the authors are usually expected to respond to their comment and based on the outcomes of this communication. The editor decides whether to accept or reject manuscript, and this process takes a few months, even 1 or 2 years, and for an article to get published in a journal in specific volume, in specific issue. And now I think that we have a better way, easier way to share a scientific work. This way is called preprint servers. There are some characteristics of preprints. First, preprints are preliminary scientific reports or a full draft research paper that are made publicly available online for everyone to read, comment, and discuss before they have been peer reviewed. Preprints enable rapid release and discussion of data. Working in progress is also important, and working in progress with constant feedback, important characteristic. And preprints are often not indexed by mainstream bibliographic services. I have to say that, but some preprint servers are connected with Google Scholar, for example, connected with PrePubMed, Europe PMC, SciLit, Crossref, Unpaywall, and everything for better discoverability. On many blogs and websites, we can find information regarding the benefits of hosting preprints on preprint servers. I discovered these three main reasons for that. First, when you publish your research results in the form of a preprint, you can be sure that you stake a claim to the work you have done. If there is any subsequent discussion of who found a particular result first, you can point to the preprint as a public conclusive record of your data. Especially if the preprint has a DOI, digital object identifier, it can be referenced in any dispute over who discovered something first. For this reason, some founders allow researchers to cite preprints in their grant applications, for example. And for a complete list of founder policies, you can see here on that link. For example, the National Institute of Health encourages investigators to use interim research products such as preprints to speed the dissemination and enhance the rigor of their work. This practice was introduced in 2017. Another example, the Wellcome Trust Foundation, as you know, requires that preprints with significant potential public health benefit and be published before peer review on an approved platform, and that supports immediate publication of the complete manuscript under a CC BY license. You can also find other examples of founders who encourage preprints on this link. And another benefit is feedback. We can provide feedback. You can provide publicly through commenting or privately through email. Other researchers can discover a specific work sooner and can point out critical flaws or errors. Many of them can suggest new studies of data, then straighten your argument. Also communication between authors and reviewers can lead to collaboration that could result in a publication of a better quality. This is completely different from a traditional system. In traditional system, you submit manuscript and you receive feedback from 2 or 3 reviewers before publication. And increased visibility is also a strong advantage. I think so. Maybe is the best. In one research letter from 2018, authors saw notable increases in citation and altmetric scores when authors had posted their work first as a preprint and published it later. The study covers this study covers 3.5 years, I think, and it is a short period. More studies will be needed to confirm this finding, but also preprints can attract new readers to a published paper if preprints and infrastructure providers like Crossref link to the final published article whenever possible. Today we have preprints from all disciplines, but they are not equally used in all disciplines, I have to say, because sharing preprints starts in 1991 with a group of physicists who recognized the potential of sharing preprints. This practice has remained widespread in physics to this day, and there are a growing number of discipline-specific preprint servers. For example, now we have SOTS archive and SciArchive established in 2016 and EdArchive in 2019. A number of regional preprint servers have also emerged over the past several years. For example, InArchive in 2017, Africa Archive and Arabic Archive in 2018, India Archive and preprints.ru in 2019. Preprints are immediately available to their peers and public and general public. A good thing is avoiding lengthy peer review processes prior to release, and also communication with scientists is on a high level in the environment of preprint servers. All readers can leave comments and discuss every single paper. It is really important. Most preprints are given DOI, so they are easily cited in other research papers. But now we have some issues on this slide, issues about preprints. First of all, scientists feel a pressure, as you can see, feel a pressure to publish quickly, and especially during a health crisis. In Serbia we have a proverb, "Što je brzo, to je I kuso." And in English, it can be translated to haste makes waste. Unfortunately, sometimes it is really like that. Misinformation or bad or sloppy science can be freely circulated, cited, and believed, regardless of whether it is ultimately debunked and retracted. And preliminary results could be reported by the media or posted and discussed on social media with little regard. However, in that case, retrospective tagging won't have much effect. On the other hand, one of important issue is that many preprints are never revised, and only about a third to half are ever fully published. This fact is discussed in two papers, founded in 2019 and 2020. This paper are on the list at the end of my presentation. You can see later, and however, the same things can happen with peer review papers. There have been a number in cases where more than 100 papers had to be retracted by established publishers due to misconduct. And now I will give you some suggested solutions. There are many solutions to issues related to preprints, but here I will present 6, but I would also like to you to share your experience today also and discuss about that. First of all, I think that references should clearly disclose that the source is a preprint via DOI or a preprint link. Preprints should not be used as a references in any medical publication, but it can be used in a personal communication. And then watermarking the article, it is important and might help others to know that results are not fully weighted. Also, in the body of the article, we can indicate that the findings have not been formally peer reviewed. Before depositing to a preprint server, it would be useful if the server provided a basic screening process for offensive or non-scientific content and for material that might pose a health risk as applied in medRxiv, for example. And encouraging authors to marked and linked via DOI preprints to subsequently published articles. Preprint servers and alternative platforms are intensively growing. On this link, you can find policies and practices about 56 preprint servers. These practices are important to both researchers and policymakers. In every single server, you can find the following information: preprint server, disciplinary scope, ownership type, screening processes, external content indexing, permanence of content, preservation of content, and other comments. And on the left side, on the left-hand side, you can click the plus sign here and see the details about specific server. For example, is archive, a link to preprint server. Just a second to see the is a bio. Yes, on is a bio website. I click the archive, for example, archive server. You can see platform description, launch date, ownership type, ownership, platform technology, the openness of source code, etc. Also, every preprint server has permitted submission formats. In archive, it is a PDF, LaTeX, HTML are accepted, and there is a request for full text to be submitted in a machine readable format. The following metadata is openly available via an API. Title, identifier like DOI, publication or deposition date, author name or names, abstract, and relational link to final journal publication. Actually, a link to the published version is added by the platform 1 month after publication. In this example, authors are provided with the choice of Creative Commons license, and the manuscript can be published in any destination. This is useful information for authors when they choose a preprint server for their preprints. And if something goes wrong, if author doesn't have the right to post, or in case of copyright infringement or national security risks, archive has a good reasons for removal, for deletion of full text. Mechanisms to report concerns about posted content are realized via social media or directly with authors. And I presented some of details of one preprint server, but on the EIFL bio website, you can see details for currently active preprint servers. EIFL bio is not just a directory for preprint servers. It is a kind of blog with the up-to-date information about publishing. It is a scientist-driven non-profit non-profit promoting transparency and innovation in life science communication. Here we have an open science platform, Europe PMC, that enables access to a worldwide collection of life science publication and preprints from trusted sources around the globe. This development is significant, not only because of the large number of preprints discoverable, but also because of the connectivity between scholarly communication infrastructures. And you can now find over 300,000 preprints in Europe PMC, linked to published version and citations via Crossref, enriched with resources from ORCID, peer community, etc. And preprints should be seen as a phenomenon that is a consequence of digitalization and the development of electronic publishing. I would like to mention the Open Research Europe in this context, the European Commission's new platform. And here is the link with public or open review. On that platform, a preprint is first published. The preprint is reviewed on the platform, and reviews are publicly available. All revised versions until the final one can be seen on the platform. And when you want to submit your research, it will be published rapidly as soon as they are accepted, after passing a series publication checks to assess originality, readability, author eligibility, of course, and compliance with Open Research Europe's policies and ethical guidelines. Peer review will be completed by invited experts suggested by the authors and will take place openly. It is important and useful to say that research remains published regardless of the reviewers' reports. And authors are encouraged to respond openly to the peer review reports, which are published with the article, and can publish revised versions of their article if they wish. This is the same model that exists in Welcome Open Research and SciELO Preprints, as you can see here. And here also you can click see the link for accessing. And now I will talk about preprints in COVID-19 time. In COVID-19 pandemic, preprints are one of the mechanisms that researchers are using to communicate their work early and broadly, and an impressive number of COVID-19 research is currently available via preprints. In the first charts, in these charts, you can see that research is being shared via more varied channels and preprint servers much earlier than ever before. The first rate of increase had been from February to May, 2020, as you can see on the first picture, the number has increased from 100 different preprints to 2,000. Now it is approximately 2,000 new preprints weekly. Here on the other 2,000 new preprints in the peer review PubMed server. As you can see in red, medRxiv is the second most used server for preprints when we talk about COVID-19. But you can see the usage, those green ones are more or less represented than in PubMed. Biomedical preprints published in PubMed accounted 3% in 2019. As of May 2020, 32% of the COVID-19 papers listed on the National Institute of Health portfolio are preprints. On the other hand, there is a moral imperative to share outputs as early as possible to support progress in tackling the outbreak. On the other hand, with labs and institutions closed and travel restrictions in place, there is a need for new modalities for research, sharing, interacting, and communication about that. I'm sure that preprints provide the mechanisms for the rapid dissemination of research results, but at the same time, given the preprints do not undergo the peer review, concerns have been raised about potential risks to public health or misinformation to the public. For example, if the research presented in preprints is used as established clinical evidence, many conversations have been induced about how to find the balance between rapid dissemination of research and mitigating potential risks. And in every preprint server, you can see an important notification where is indicated the posted preprints are not peer reviewed. You can see here in archive, for example, that posted preprints are not peer reviewed, and they should not be relied upon without a context to guide clinical practice or health related behavior. Also, they should not be reported in news media as established information without consulting multiple experts in the field. Now, I will talk about trainings for researchers and librarians and how I do it in Serbia. The focus of the training is presented here. First is breaking fears. Breaking fears by publish quickly on a platform that allows work to be described by standardized metadata and license protection. Researchers protect their results and reduce the risk of someone else taking the credit. First, I explain how the servers for sharing preprints works. They're basically similar. It is basically similar to institutional repositories where I work, and what they are and how to choose the right server for their field of interests. Then I explain why traditional journals do not meet the needs of modern scientific communication. In this context, I emphasize that nowadays it is important for research to ensure that feedback to received quickly, which means continuous working in progress. And I follow new trends, like a librarian, follow new trends at the international level, and I inform researchers and librarians about it. I try to explain how the most important platforms for preprints work, like Open Research Europe, for example. As regards this topic, my approaches are somewhat different from those I normally use when I talk about repositories or publishing or other conventional topics. Education should include a lively discussion. It is for sure, but the topic is new in my country, and the ethical research assessments system doesn't encourage researchers to adapt to this new practice. Therefore, it is important to encourage researchers to reach some conclusions for themselves through discussion. They are not expected to accept this new practice immediately, but they should be informed. I think that they should be informed. So when they get ready for this step, they will be familiar with the concept and will know who can help them. It is useful also to invite researchers who have published preprints as guests and lecturers to share their experience. Formats of my training include lectures or demonstration in person. If we have a lecture during approximately 19 minutes, methods are verbal presentation about preprint features, registration and depositing demonstration, and participants are free to ask any questions they may have during the presentation. Technical requirements includes computer and video beam or internet connection if we have online lecture through Zoom or Microsoft Teams in many cases. And in that 19 minutes, topics are covered in a full range. And another topic, another format of presentation is in person. Less or more than 45 minutes, depends. I present a short introduction to preprints, then talk about preprint servers and searching literature through them. Also, participants are free to ask any questions. We provide a live communication in the library, at the faculty, or online via Zoom or Skype or others. Topics depends. It is important to say that topic depends on researchers or librarians' prior knowledge. And researchers should be reminded that they have to take into account journal policies because some journals, almost all national from Serbia, do not accept papers published as preprints. So they have to check journal policies before publishing a preprint. On the training, I show them where and how they can check this. So I'm going to explain the situation in Serbia regarding this. For example, local physicists, mathematicians, and engineers have been using archive for a long time, and they know benefits of preprints. This practice is sporadically presented among local psychologists. They mainly use the Open Science Framework, for example, and SciArchive, linked here. And researchers who work more intensively with colleagues from abroad, I noticed that someone who have lived and work abroad and more likely to decide to publish a preprint and have fewer prejudices and fears. Chemists, for example, are quite conservative. They publish in traditional journals and with major commercial publishers. A major problem is the research evaluation system, for sure, which really relies on the impact factor, and thus discourages researchers from looking for new publishing channels beyond traditional journals or of commercial publishers. The most suitable target group for education, for sure, are researchers who are involved in European projects. The table, this table presents the issues that are usually raised during the discussion. In traditional publishing model, we have a growing problem in terms of the lack of expert reviewers. Due to the hyperproduction of scientific papers, it is difficult to find good reviewers. Due to this, the quality of peer-reviewed papers is something disputable. The production is so large that probably most of the papers are never read. Also, paywalls limit opportunities for post-publication peer-reviewed. On the other hand, preprints offer open access to everyone on the internet, and everyone can get involved in commenting, discussing, and providing feedback. The common opinion is that the results published conventional journals are certainly good, is certainly good, while those in preprints are not verified, because anyone can publish a preprint. I think that it is not entirely true. Peer review doesn't always warrant that the published results are correct. The fact is that there are peer-reviewed papers that have been retracted. In some cases, retraction notices in conventional journals are not very transparent, and retracted papers are still being used in new research and cited. Unfortunately, there are many papers in a conventional model that have not been disputed or retracted, but their quality is poor. Therefore, review doesn't always guarantee quality, especially in the context of the so-called peer review crisis. So the so-called advantages of conventional journals over preprints should not be overemphasized. The next tricky issue is the evaluation system in many countries, including Serbia. Most evaluation systems still rely on the journal impact factor, and because of that, many scientists choose the traditional model of publishing. Preprints are not recognized in many countries and officially accepted in the evaluation system. This is the major obstacle to a wider adoption of preprints. Commercial publishers constantly encourage publishing through the traditional model in personal gain, and there are still many journals that do not accept papers that have previously been published as preprints. And this may discourage authors from publishing a preprint before submitting the manuscript to a conventional journal. I try to explain each point of this, but and I always make it clear that although I'm sorry, I always make it clear that although preprints have emerged as a reaction to the inefficiency of the traditional publishing model, they are probably not a final solution. I find it important for researchers to get involved in global discussion about the future of scholarly publishing. Preprints are part of transition into something different. And at the end of this presentation, I want to conclude that we don't know yet what future brings, and everybody is invited to join the discussion about it. Here's the reference and my contacts. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask me now or later through email and or connect me on LinkedIn and Twitter. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna. That was excellent.
Thank you, Irina.
We do have questions.
Okay.
So let me read them out.
Just to...
So I'll start with the questions and answers. I'll start with Richard. If preprint is not a peer review paper, why should it be used as a credible academic paper? You've already addressed it a bit in your talk, but maybe if you could add something else.
Can you please repeat?
It's if you open Q&A, it's the first question. Yeah, it's between participants and polls at the bottom. Or I'll read it again more clearly. If preprint is not a peer review paper, why should it be used as a credible academic paper?
Exactly, it shouldn't. It should be made clear whether a manuscript has undergone peer review or not. However, I've already said that all research, even the peer-reviewed papers published by established publishers, should be subject to sectarianity and criticism. Criticism. I think that it shouldn't be used as a capable academic paper, of course.
Thanks. Then it seems like there is some misunderstanding between preprints and postprints. So I'll read Theodosius' question, and maybe you could clarify that. My understanding of preprint was that they would have gone through the peer review process, but what is deposited as a preprint is not a publisher's PDF version. Has this ever been the definition?
Yes, this definition, it is an old definition used in the context of repositories. This is what we now commonly call submitted version to avoid the confusion. Postprint is, I explained at the beginning of the presentation, the accepted manuscript. Basically, any manuscript as it is before peer reviewed may be called preprint. But I think that it is an old definition. Yeah.
Thanks. And a difficult question for Milica. Anna, as a PhD student, would you publish your research on a preprint server?
Oh, Milica, yes. Like a PhD student, I didn't posted any preprints for now. I didn't, but I would like to share my research results because I want to get feedback from older colleagues, and to know that my research paper is quite good, and then I will publish in some journal articles. But before posting a preprint, for sure I will I would try to find the best solution for my article after posting a preprint. I will check the journal policies. Where can I post it? When can I publish my research paper if it is first shared like preprint? And it is my opinion, because I'm early career researcher and librarian, and I don't feel a pressure through evaluation system. I don't feel this type of pressure, and I don't have exactly I don't have journals where I have to publish my works. It is for older colleagues. For me, I can share for now. I don't think about evaluation system for now. Thank you, Milica.
Then there is a related question to Theodosia. How do you respond to researchers who are concerned about whether preprints are considered in academics for promotion?
Respond to researchers are concerned about whether preprints about academics promotion. Yes, about academic promotion. It is something about evaluation system and in academic promotion. They don't recognize the potential of preprints now. I think in Serbia and other countries also do not recognize the potential and do not put in the academia and evaluation system, unfortunately. But for now, it is like that.
Thanks. And then there are two questions from Richard. Do you not think that this type of publishing can increase predatory open access preprint publishing?
This type of publishing, I don't think so, because we have more and more good channels like Open Science Framework, Europe PMC, where you can see all versions of posted the preprints, and if something is not good, they can check it and put the new version. And I think it is better for open science. It is better to everything is visibility on the internet, and that everyone can discuss about that. If I understand the question.
Yeah, and I think we can consider that an open conversation. So imagine you're discussing with your colleagues your research results, and then if you when you present at the conference, then you get some feedback from colleagues. With preprints, it's a little bit like that. So just you are not presenting at a conference, you're putting your paper, for example, in Open Research Europe, and then reviewers come and they provide feedback, and then a journal requests a revised version, and then a revised version is posted. Peer review results are posted, and also a revised version is posted, and then everyone could see improvements. And there were actually some examples when reviewers were even included, either acknowledged in a new version of paper, or even included as courses in future versions if they really provided a lot of substantial contributions and changes. So it's like an open scientific conversation about research topics. Then another
Yes,
question. Sorry.
No, of course, I agree with you, and just I read in the same time I read the other.
So maybe let's take another question from Richard. What strategy would you use in promoting preprint publishing among academics?
And strategy. My strategy is just for now. It is not a widely used topic in Serbia. I give some lectures and in person. I think that it is the best way in person. When I saw that some researcher want to know about this topic, we sitting in the library, and I explain them how this work. And it is not a huge strategy, you know. It is just depends of your public or of your researchers and librarians who want to know about it. It is not something a big strategy for now.
Thanks. And an interesting question from Theodosia. Is there a preprint server exclusively for library and information science research?
Yes, we have one. I can send you through email if you wanted to see if, because I cannot, if maybe it takes time to find it now, but yes, I know a few of them for library and information science. Just send me email. I will put on my email on chat here also. It is not a problem. Here is my email.
Thanks a lot. Then Esther is asking, how would you best address the concerns of researchers who are skeptical about sharing their preprints and also postprints even?
Yes, skeptical about something else, maybe taking a credit for their works, and I think that it is the main skeptical. But in the same way, it is good for taking a credit. You know, if someone published something first, if you know your preprint, it is you first discover this. But it is. We have I think some words scrubbing or something like that, that you have a fear, but it is not exact a fear. If you know more about this topic, you will change your view about this. But
yeah, and I guess it's also about your personal strategies as a researcher, like you explained. So, for example, I'm not really a researcher. I'm not employed by a research institution, so I wouldn't mind posting my papers as preprints because I don't need promotion. What's important for me is feedback from colleagues. But I would imagine if I would work for the university and if my promotion would depend on non-availability of papers as preprints, then probably I wouldn't make a choice. So it's really, and it depends on the research area. For example, if it's life sciences, and if you use these large preprint platforms, there will be feedback from colleagues. But if it's social sciences, of course, there are also social sciences preprints, but I don't know whether social scientists will jump in and start reviewing and commenting. I guess it also depends on the discipline. And like archive, it was mentioned already that it's been around for how many, 30 years, I think already. And in high energy physics, like over 30% of citations come from preprints because that's already an established practice for high energy physics.
Yes, of course. Thank you for suggestion. Thank you, Irina, for discussing about that. Yes, it's really interesting, and I like to know more about this topic. It is not my first topic in Serbia. I give lectures about scientific publishing, about open science generally, institutional repositories. We have 25 repositories now in Serbia at the last 2.5 years, and it is a really good practice and infrastructure for sharing accepted manuscripts. You know, peer peer-reviewed manuscript. But now for this day, I prepare this, and I'm really glad to be a part of this training. Really appreciate this, and appreciate because I also know many new things, many new good ways to share my experiences also in Serbia and here today. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and also your experience as a researcher is very valuable because you can speak as both as a researcher and also as a librarian.
Yes.
There is a comment from Irene. I appreciate the fact that the preprints are published to give room for input feedback from colleague researchers and new area to explore and see how the library can encourage its usage. Indeed. Yeah, and Irene is saying thank you for the presentation, and there are also lots of thanks in the chat. I'm just checking if there is anything we missed.
Yes, I think that it is not. Thank you everyone.
Yeah, and I guess there is this comment, preprints raise a lot of issues with quality. Maybe the focus should be on postprints. I guess it depends, again, what your goals are. For example, if you are a repository manager and if you want to get a version which is as close to the published version as possible, then of course a preprint for you is not the way to go. And that's the reason Anna mentioned all these preprint servers, because usually preprints are put in specific places where there is also an opportunity to provide feedback on those preprints. So probably for institutional repositories, it's not the best version. But then if it's the only version, if you can't post a postprint, if you can't post a publisher PDF, and if the difference is not such a huge, then maybe that's a solution. So again, it depends. What is your strategy and what is your goal?
Yes, we have a really good, we have, you know, potential in our repositories. Our researchers also can submit their papers like preprint in our repositories, but it is not recognized for now. They put just a published version and accepted version. Accepted version, peer-reviewed version. Not we have we use this space software, and we have this option to put the preprint. But for now, it is not very familiar with them, you know. And we will we have maybe better strategy for next day for next for the time for the next time. But for now, we have metadata and use the Open Archive protocol for metadata harvesting. It is really really good potential in our repositories, but they don't use in that way. Maybe they find, for example, mathematicians, engineers, and physicists. They know and use preprints method sharing preprints a long time, but they didn't use their institutional, you know, they don't use their institutional repositories for preprint, for sharing preprints. They use archive or other thematic repositories. I noticed that they use thematic repositories for preprints who want to share their preprints.
And I think that answers a bit Richard's question, because he was asking if preprint is not peer review paper, how would it be visible for people to use? Exactly, like physicists, I know that they start their day, go into archive and check in what's new, what was published in the coming days in the research area. Because again, in some research areas, it's really important to establish intellectual priority, to claim that you were the first to come up with those results. Because imagine you've been spending years doing research, and then you submitted your paper to a journal, and it may take a year, 2 or 3 years to get this article published.
It is quite a long period for sharing your results, and you can share your results first like preprint and then publish in journals. And for now, just check the journal policies, and if you want to publish in a specific journal. But yes, it is really interesting, and I think that researchers cannot be skeptical about this topic, and also publishers will be openly, will be, I think, and I hope so, that will be more openly and give up permission to publish in their journals. Despite of that, if they put the preprint first.
There is also a question from Richard. From your experience, would you say preprints receive more citation? The problem is that we don't have tools to track citations to preprints because, for example, what we use, Scopus, Web of Science, they don't really index preprints. So I think one of the reasons we can't say yes for sure in all disciplines because there are no tools to measure that. I know Archive did that for high energy physics, and they found that there is an increase in citations, and there were similar results in life sciences. And have you seen any other examples of increased citations for preprints?
I'm not sure if you can you repeat the. I'm not sure if I understand.
Would preprint receive more citations? Would preprints be more cited?
More cited, I think, in exact science, in nature science. I think that this type of scientists read the preprint service like a newspaper, and they are up to date with new information. And I think that it is the most cited than in humanities. In natural sciences, maybe it is. Like that, but I'm not 100% sure if the percentage. The effect of bioarchive preprints on citation and altmetric. Oh, thank you, Obrad. Obrad sent us a
link. Thanks a lot. Yeah, and Richard commented, with this research assessment evaluation becomes a problem. Well, it does become a problem, but it's been a problem already. So
yes.
Maybe it's the right moment to change that.
Perspective and changing the publishing model, because I think that it is a good way, and it is. I think that it does not exist now on a high level, because many researchers and librarians also are skeptical. You know, they didn't know enough about this topic, and because of that, there is it is exactly this situation. But maybe I think maybe in 1 or 2 years it will be changed in this model, especially because many grant applications, National Institute of Health, Wellcome Trust Foundation, and other European projects and in the world projects support preprints. And I think that and we also have researchers, the most a number of researchers who want to come to get new information about these topics are researchers who are funded by the European Union. They have a grant from them, and they know the potential of this, and know that it is a good practice in the future.
I also heard from Wellcome Trust, which is the largest funder of biomedical research, private funder of biomedical research in the world, that they have a Wellcome Open Research platform, which starts with submitting a preprint, and then review process starts. And they said that it's the most popular publishing platform for their researchers now. It's been around for a couple of years. Gates Foundation has a similar publishing platform, and it's been also very popular with their grantees. And then Richard has a clarification question. What would you call the paper we put in the institutional repository when authors sign away their copyright with publishers? We normally call it preprint, but now with understanding, I'm wondering what it will be called. It's still a preprint, because some preprints are, actually, I would say probably most preprints are actually submitted to journals when they are shared.
submitted version, and it is a version who researcher want to send to a group of reviewers to journals and to be peer reviewed. It is a draft version who have to be reviewed, but also if they want, they can put in a preprint server and check out the many of people in this people in that field. And it is not just 2 or 3 reviewers. It can be 100 people who can discuss and comment this paper. And because of that, researchers can be posted first at the preprint server and then published in journals and have this type of model.
And then there is a question
it is my opinion, but it depends on the field of study also, and whenever they wish. And
there is also a comment from Evelyn. The question is, do we want to sacrifice quality for currency? I don't know. Honestly, I don't believe that all journals necessarily mean quality. And I think Anna already addressed it in her talk that ideally, yes, but how many papers have been retracted from journals because they were published because that looked interesting or innovative, but then it was proved that it's all wrong.
Yes, they checked, and this exactly some paper if it is retracted. I saw many times that are cited, not you know, it is also visible on the internet. If this paper is rejected, everyone can cite it, but it is not good, you know. But it exists. These principles exist nowadays, and publishers. I'm not sure why it is, but this bad practice exists to retract it. When I speak about retracted papers, also. If you know that that it is preprint, you have a bit of reservation if it is good or not, because it is not peer reviewed. And in every single preprint server, there are notification and they tell to us that it is not peer reviewed. But if you are, for example, mathematician, and you come to preprint server to see what is new in your field, you can see the the names, the good names in that field, and you know if some preprint are most cited, that it will be for you some sign that it is maybe good. Despite of that, if it is not in process of peer reviewed, but you can know that it is quite good. If you understand me,
yeah, we posted links to a database of peer-reviewed papers that have been retracted. So they've been reviewed, published, and then retracted.
Published and retracted, and then.
Yeah. And there is also a specific COVID-19 collection that covers preprints. And last time I checked, I think published papers were retracted as often as preprints. So there is no guarantee, but I think preprints ensure open scientific conversation. And they actually, maybe that's one of the reasons why researchers want to post preprints, because they get DOIs. So their paper becomes citable, discoverable, and then they can link data, for example, to that paper via DOI, because I think all preprints servers offer DOIs. I'm not sure about archive though, but all new ones for sure. So it's also a way to get this digital object identifier and use it in conversations. I don't see any other questions, and thank you so much, Anna. It was very enlightening to me, and it was also very enlightening to participants on this call, and thanks for being available to answer any questions and also to share some more links.
Thank you, thank you. I really appreciate this. And everyone, if you want, they can send me an email. I put on the chat list, and send me an email, and I will answering today if there is another question which is not on that list.
Richard is asking whether preprint platforms have a retraction policy.
Preprint platform has a retraction policy. They just they notice that it is not peer reviewed, and also if it is something bad or sloppy science, if you know, if it is something you know that it is not good, the preprint server can deletion of the text. It have this type of possibility to deletion of, to removal of this metadata and full text, because it is something bad, for example, about health risks or security risk, and it can be deletion.
Thanks. Indeed, good, insightful discussion.
Of course, thank you.
And we mentioned research assessment and evaluation, and that's the topic we'll be looking at in our webinars later this month. But before that, we'll have another webinar with Anna about social media for research. So I put a link to a page where we upload all the recordings and where there are registration links to other webinars. So thank you so much, Anna. Looking forward to continuing discussion with you in the next webinar.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining, colleagues, and thanks for all your questions and comments. It was very, very interesting and useful, and yeah, a lot to think about. So have a wonderful rest of the day, and see you at the next EIFL's webinars. And thanks again. Bye.
See you next week. Bye bye.